Dear learners, welcome to this lecture on human resource management. This is basically the unit 13 in TS3 block 4. In this lecture, we will talk about introduction and need for HRM in tourism. What is the need for human resource management in tourism? Before we proceed further, let us have a look on the learning objectives of this lecture. In this lecture, we will understand the concept and meaning of human resource management. Then we will understand what is the role and importance of human resource management in case of tourism. Then we will appreciate various elements for developing the service culture in case of a tourism organization. Also, we will try to understand the divergent nature of tourism industry and the implications of this divergent nature for the human resource management in case of tourism services. Before we move further, let us go into the basics. First, we need to understand what is resources, then we will go what is human resources, then we will go what is management, and then we will combine all these three terms. So, first of all, what is resources? A resource can be defined as anything that is necessary to carry out business activity or to create a product or service. Resources are basically the factors of production for any product or services. So, what are the resources? It can be man, material, machine, methods and money. This is also known as 5M, and these are the basic resources that are required for any business. Then what is human resources? Human resources, these are the group of individuals that makes the workforce of an organization. It can also be referred as manpower, labor or simply as people. See, in the previous slide we talked about the resources. So, we have discussed that resources can be anything that is used in a business for production of goods or services. Here the very first resource was man. So, human resources are the group of individuals or the men that makes the workforce, and it can also be referred as manpower. We can use the terms labor or simply we can use the term people also. It is with the help of human resources the other business resources are put to use. It is only with the help of these resources, that means first of all we need to have the human resources, then only we can put use to other resources, that is material, machinery, money and everything. So, how we measure the quality of these human resources? It can be judged in terms of their qualification, skills, motivation levels, etc. So, if we have to judge the quality of human resources in an organization, we will measure it in the terms of qualification, how qualified the people, how qualified the employees are there, what are their skills, how motivated they are. Higher their qualifications, higher their skills and high motivation levels implies good quality of human resources. Now, what is management? In simple terms, management is the art of getting things done through other people. It is simply the art by which we can get the things done through other people. Management in case of business organization refers to the function that coordinates the efforts of people to accomplish organizational goals and objectives by using the available resources effectively and efficiently. Means there are two things, one is people and one are the other resources. So, management, it is the function of the business organization wherein we coordinate with the people and other resources, so that the organizational goals, they are fulfilled effectively and efficiently. Now, let us combine these three terms, that is resources means these are the factors of production required for any business to produce any goods or services. Then the human resources means the human element in the resources, that is man, and management, simply the business function by which we can get the things done through others. So, when we combine these three terms, we come across the term human resource management. So, what does it means? Human resource management means management of people at work, how to manage the people. HRM is the process which helps in effective utilization of human resources in a way that both organizational as well as individual peoples working there achieve their goals and objectives. Means in HRM, HRM is the process through which we utilize the human resources, and what is the condition? That both the goals, that is the organizational goal as well as the personal goals, are fulfilled. It is a comprehensive and continuous process that encompasses various policies, processes, practices that are designed to help both employees and organization to achieve their goals. Human resource management is the branch of management that deals with people at work. It is concerned with the human dimension of the management of the organization. An organization consists of people, therefore acquiring them, developing their skills, providing them motivation in order to attain higher goals and ensuring that their level of commitment is maintained are main objectives of HRM. So, HRM is basically the management part, and which part? It is the part of management, overall management, which deals with the human dimension, which deals with the people. And what are the elements of HRM? It is simply the acquiring people, means recruitment and selection, then developing their skills, providing them training and development, then providing them motivation, keeping them motivated in order to attain the higher goals, and then we need to ensure that their level of commitment and motivation is maintained. These are basically the objectives of HRM. Let us go for the definition of HRM. According to Edwin B. Filippo, HRM is the planning, organizing, directing and controlling of the procurement, development, compensation, integration, maintenance and separation of human resources to the end that individual, organizational and social objectives are accomplished. Means HRM is planning. Planning means deciding in advance, like how many people are required, what are the qualifications and skills required. Then we need to organize, then we need to select the people, then we need to direct, means we need to direct them, we need to provide them the training and development. Then we have to control the procurement, development and compensation, integration, maintenance and separation of those human resources with regard to our organization. So, HRM and tourism, what is the relationship between human resource management and tourism? See, we all know that importance of tourism in terms of income and employment generation, foreign exchange earnings is now being widely accepted, and thus tourism development is on agenda of governments of many countries. India is also not an exception. We know that tourism gives many positive impacts, economic impacts, like it helps in generation of income and employment. It also earns the foreign exchange earnings for the country. So, a lot of governments, they are trying to promote tourism, and Indian government is not an exception. But when we compare, as compared with other industries, human element forms an integral part of tourism product. It is the quality of human resources that ultimately defines the quality of tourists' experience. In case of tourism product, people buy not just any other service or products, rather they invest their time, money and energy in getting an experience. See, tourism product is not like any other product. In it, the human dimension, it plays a very important role. And here people, they are not getting anything tangible, they are investing their time, money and energy in getting an experience, that is something intangible. So, let us have some examples that will explain the relationship between HRM, human resource management, in tourism. However comfortable the car is very much comfortable, but if the driver is not skillful, if the driver doesn't have the necessary skills, what are the skills of a driver? That he need to drive properly, he should have the knowledge about the roads and routes, he should have the knowledge about the traffic rules and regulations. If the car is very much comfortable, it is a brand new car, everything is working fine, but if the driver is not skillful, he is not driving properly, or he is not aware about the roads, he is not aware about the route that he need to take, then do you think that the tourist traveling in that car will be satisfied? No, he will not be satisfied because of only of this human element. Though the car was fine, but since the driver, the human element, he was not of the quality, then the tourist will remain unsatisfied. Similarly, how nice and wonderful the monument is, but if the accompanying guide or escort is not able to explain it properly, then the tourist will never return satisfied. A monument, it can be quite wonderful and nice, but if the guide who is with the tourist is not able to explain the monument, then the tourist is not likely to be satisfied. Another example, if the tourist is in a restaurant and the quality of food is quite good, but the staff serving the food, that is the waiters, they are not properly trained on how to serve the food or how to behave with the customer, then it is highly unlikely that the clients will leave satisfied. Means the tourist or the guest, they will leave unsatisfied, because though the food was good, but the service staff was not enough trained and they were not able to serve it effectively. So, we can see that it is the nature of the tourism services Basically, it is the nature of the tourism services, wherein the service providers are an integral part of the tourist experience formation that makes human resource management all the more important in case of tourism business. See, in these examples, we have seen that the core products like the car, the monument and the food, they were of good quality, but even then the experience of the tourist was not positive, means the tourists, they were not satisfied because of the human resources, because the driver, he was not skillful enough, or the guide and escort, they were not knowledgeable enough, or the waiters, they were not trained enough. So we can see that in case of tourism services, the human resource or the quality of the human resources, it plays a very important role. In case of human resource management, when we go for the tourism, we have to see it at two levels, that is the micro as well as macro levels. At macro level, we look into the educational and training infrastructure available in a country and the efforts initiated by the government or the national tourist organizations in this regard, including those of the efforts that are initiated by the private sector. Means at macro level, we simply look the educational and training infrastructure that is available in country, how many institutes are there, what are the courses being offered, and how many institutes are being taken care by the national tourist organizations, and how many these training institutes are managed by the private sector. This is the macro level wherein we see the human resource management in case of tourism. At micro level, we go for the individual organizations planning and management of their human resource. Means we go for the case study of a particular organization, how a particular travel agency or how a particular hotel or how a particular restaurant, they are managing their human resources, how they are planning and managing their human resources. This is basically the micro level. So, as per Mr. V.S. Mahesh, he is the former Vice President Human Resources at Taj Group of Hotels. There are two main features that must be considered at organization level human resource management in all sectors related to tourism industry. Mr. V.S. Mahesh is the former Vice President of VP Human Resources in Taj Group of Hotels, and he has identified there are two basically the sectors or two aspects that we need to consider while going for the human resource management. The first is the concept of moment of truth, and second, what is the relation of this concept of moment of truth with achieving the service excellence in case of the organization. So first we try to understand what is moment of truth. It is defined as the interaction between a customer and an organization which leads to a judgment by the customer about the quality of service received by her or him. So moment of truth is simply an interaction where a customer and an organization, they both interact, and on the basis of this interaction a judgment is made by the customer about the quality of services being received by him or her. In case of tourism industry, 95% of these MOTs, that is moment of truth, they take place between the customers and the frontline staff, and most of the time they are not visible to management. Means in case of tourism industry, 95% of the interactions between an organization and their clients or the tourist, they takes by the way of interaction between the tourist and the frontline staff only of that particular organization, and most of the times they are not visible to the higher management. So let us have an example, moment of truth. For example, how a hotel receptionist is handling the customer or how an escort is conducting the tour, it is not visible to the management. Yet the tourist's overall experience of the holiday and of the service provider is dependent on how the staff manning such services has treated him or her. If a tourist is checking into a hotel, so first of all his interaction will be with the reception people. So how the receptionist he or she is handling the tourist, that will form the basis on the basis of which the tourist will make an impression about the quality of services. And if the tourist is on a tour, then how an escort or guide is conducting the tour, how they are explaining the monuments, that will form the basis on which the tourist is going to make an impression about the quality of services by the travel agent. Further, it has been pointed out by Mr. Mahesh that in case of negative experiences encountered during the moments of truth, only less than 5% such cases get reported to the management by the customers. Means if the tourist is not satisfied with the guide or escort, if the tourist is not satisfied with the reception people, only 5% are the cases when they will bring this to the notice of the higher management. Means 95% cases this goes unreported. So the prime question here is, are human beings capable of doing their jobs correctly, willingly and with a smile when they know that their management is most unlikely to be able to see or hear them, let alone hear of their failures to do so? So what is the question here is, whether these frontline staff, that is the escort and the reception people, they are able to do their jobs correctly, willingly and with a smile, even when they know that their managers are not looking or on their performance, or they also know that in case of any mistakes there are only 5% chances that it will be reported to their higher management. So what makes the service leaders in case of tourism organizations? The very first thing is principle of empowerment to all the employees. And what do you mean by principle of empowerment? It means the empowerment manifesting in ways through which the organizations remain highly focused and consistent in everything they do and say in relation to employees. The organizations, they have managers who communicate with their subordinates and employees. Then there are the managers who facilitate rather than regulate their employees' response to the customers. Then the managers who solicit the employees' feedback about how they can do things better and who stresses the importance of teamwork at each level of the organization, and they plan carefully the organization's recruitment and training needs. See, we want to understand what makes the leaders in the service organizations, and we come across the principle of empowerment. So we want to understand what does this principle of empowerment means. So we have seen that this principle of empowerment means the managers who communicate with their subordinates and employees, the managers who facilitate rather than regulate their employees' response to customers. Let us take an example. In one of the Taj properties, in one of the Taj hotels, there was a guest who was quite annoyed because the AC in his room was not working efficiently. And he informed at the time of checkout the receptionist staff that he will not be staying in Taj property ever again because the services were not good. So at that time the receptionist, she gave him the complimentary breakfast. She also provided him a complimentary transfer to airport, and he was also booked in a next Taj property. She arranged for a complimentary pickup from the airport also. She also gave him the complimentary breakfast. Everything this was done by the receptionist without taking any approval from any higher management, because in their policy the customer satisfaction was the first and prime importance. So this is the empowering employees, means the employees, they are empowered to do and they can go beyond their call of duty to ensure the satisfaction of their guests. The service leaders in case of tourism organizations, or we can say that in case of service oriented organizations, they are recognized for their unfailing commitment to the service principles. They invest in their people to ensure the staffing competence. They develop a management philosophy which stresses communication as a proactive orientation, and they also focus on the employee feedback and the employees' dedication to teamwork. The service leaders, they are recognized for all these things. Then principles to develop customer care within tourism organizations. How we can develop the culture of customer care in case of tourism organizations? The guiding principle will be that human resource management and customer care expectations management, they are interrelated areas, and in case of tourism organizations, they are highly interrelated. We have seen the examples of the driver. We have seen the example where because of the incompetency of the waiter staff, the tourists, they go unsatisfied despite that the quality of food was quite good. So we can say that in case of tourism services, The quality of human resources and human resource management, they are directly related with the customer's expectations. So, according to Sarah Mansfield, key principles in developing the customer care within the companies, they are: the first thing is that customer care, it starts at the top. In absence of any other instructions, organizational culture, ethos and values, they should dictate how an employee should behave. Means the customer care, the culture of customer care, it should start from the top management, and there should be organizational culture, that even in case of any defined rules and regulations, the employees, they should know how to behave in order to ensure the customers, they are satisfied. Second thing, the customer care involves everyone and not just the frontline staff. This is the misconception that only the frontline staff is responsible for the customer care. Every person who even is at the back end, they play an important role in satisfying their guests. Then high standards of customer care cannot be achieved by ignoring the seasonal, part-time or voluntary staff who represent the face of the business to many customers. Then there is a saying that care for your staff and they will care for your customers. The organizations, they need to take care of their staff. A satisfied employee will take extra care of the customers, or he will go the extra mile to ensure the customer satisfaction. Further, customer care, it is a continuous process. It is not a quick fix project, but it's a long-term plan. Means the customer care is a continuous process. You cannot end it, you cannot start it. Then let us sum up the role of human resource management in case of tourism. According to V.S. Mahesh, he is the former vice president of human resources in Taj Group of Hotels, the nature, determinants and problem areas of service quality within tourism, they points clearly to the central role of personnel at all levels in attaining levels of excellence in this respect. Developing the service culture within a company and within tourism industry can be seen as crucial to the success of tourism. See, he has very nicely summed up the role of human resource management in case of tourism. He says that the nature and determinants means the nature of the tourism industry. Determinants means what are the elements or what are the components of the tourism product, and the problem areas of service quality within tourism means the problem areas where the service quality can become an issue in case of tourism services. All of these things, they point clearly, means the nature, determinant and the problem areas of service quality, they clearly points that the role of personnel, the role of people, the role of manpower at all levels, not just on the frontline staff, but at the executive level, at the mid management level, junior management level, all of the personnel at all levels, they are equally important in attaining the levels of excellence in service quality. Means if we have to attain excellence in service quality, then the role of people at all levels is equally important. Developing the service culture within a company and within the tourism industry can be seen as crucial to the success of tourism. Means if we want to achieve success in case of in our tourism organization, in a travel agency or in a hotel or in tourism industry as a whole, then we need to focus on developing the service culture at all levels. Now let us see the diversity in case of tourism industry. The tourism industry, it is a combination of different sectors. We have studied it in the unit 5 of our course TS1, and each sector has its own specialized recruitment requirements in terms of human resources. For example, in case of a hotel, different jobs, they need different types of trained manpower. For example, the skills required for the receptionist, they differ from the skills required for a chef or the skills required for the housekeeper. Further, the skills required for a guide or escort, they are quite different than the skills required for the person who is sitting on the ticket counter. So this diversity of the industry, it places additional responsibility on the planners and developers of the tourism products and services as far as the human resource planning and development is considered. Now HRD in tourism, human resource development at present, Recognizing the need and importance of trained manpower for the successful development of tourism, Department of Tourism, Government of India has included it in the National Action Plan of 1992. And besides the various hotel management and foodcraft institute, it has set up the Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management at Gwalior with its chapters or campuses in different states. Many universities have also come up with various courses on tourism. Major objective of the IGNOU's tourism courses have been to train the grassroots level service providers who can't enroll into the formal education system. And what is the way ahead? Means what is the future? However, more focus of the government has been on the development of the necessary infrastructure and other facilities for tourism development, and the human resource development for tourism does not seem to get the required attention from the government. So, it is the high time that the issues pertaining to human resource development in tourism are looked into comprehensively with special emphasis on training the local and grassroots population and the hitherto neglected segments like that of guides, escorts, drivers, shopkeepers and other service providers having direct contact with the tourists need to be provided with the required training and development facilities. So, in this lecture, we have spoken about the concept of human resource management. First of all, we defined the resources as factors of production. Then in the resources, we defined what is the human element, like the people who are working. Then we go for management as the business function through which we can get the things done through others. Then we combined these three terms. We go for the human resource management, the concept and the definition. Then we discussed how this human resource management is related or important in case of tourism services. We gave some specific examples. Then we go for the ways and means how to develop the service culture in case of tourism organizations and what is the importance of human resource management. We have also spoken about what is the present status of human resource management and what should be the way ahead or how we should plan about the human resource management in case of tourism services. Thank you.